Hey Zaka family! Zaka is launching an exclusive membership platform to provide you with career development workshops, coaching, community, and so much more. Go to ZakaConnect.com and sign up to receive information on how to access early registration and perks. Hello, everybody. This is Paul Herman, the Prince of Motivation and host of Zaka Presents My Journey. We're creating this vulnerable and positive platform where you can get inspired and motivated from different leaders from our community. Today, our guest is Kathryn Meksavanh, who is a program manager at Accenture and also a professional actress. Kathryn, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
The pleasure's all ours. I definitely want to talk about the dual roles that you got going on over here, but and also hearing, because it's two sides of the fence. But before we get into that, and you kind of give us that insight, could you just give us a little bit more of a background on where you're from, your family's from?
Yeah. I am a first generation Laotian American. My family, like my whole family, my grandma, my parents, and my aunts and uncles, they all came to America. They escaped the communists. So they came from a refugee camp. So they got sponsored to come here. And so they chose Oregon for some reason. But here I am.
Out of all the places.
Yeah, out of all the places, they chose Oregon. And my grandpa, my grandma, and my aunt actually raised me because my parents were at work. So they would drop me off at my grandma's house, and there I just was raised by them. And so it was kind of like trying to navigate two worlds at such a young age. So it's a lot of stuff there.
Mm-hmm. Now, was it though? You seem like it said like the whole family is with you in Oregon. Is that what it was? Everyone came at the same time?
They came within the 5 years, but my dad came first. So my dad came first, and then he sponsored my aunts and uncles so for them to come. And so at one point, my house, it's a 4-bedroom house. There's 8 people living in here because my dad was taking care of his siblings.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So I had a room with my brother and my aunt. We had a bunk bed. And then my uncle had, my 2 uncles shared a room. My grandma and grandpa moved in with us, and they shared another room. And then my parents, of course. So it was a big family in one small house, I guess.
Wow. That definitely seems like a lot of people in one area, but I'm assuming you guys got along.
Well, we had to. No, I'm just kidding.
She's like, hold on now, Paul. Don't jump the gun now. Don't jump the gun. Okay. Yeah. So how did your parents feel about this transition? Like moving and obviously leaving, you said they was in a refugee camp, you said? Yeah.
So I think the communists took over during the Vietnam War, I believe. And so they had to escape Laos. So my mom, she told me a story where most of them had to kind of escape Laos by swimming across the Mekong River. And if you were seen on sight, basically you got shot or assassinated. And so some people didn't make it, but luckily she was able to make it through, and the rest of my family. And so that's how they got to the refugee camp in Thailand and waited to get sponsored to come to the U.S.
And how did they go about getting sponsored?
I think my uncle, he went to school in Hawaii. So he's the one that sponsored my dad, and then my dad came to America.
And sponsored the next. Okay, yeah. And all of this is happening, and you're at a young age in your life, and this is actually the case. Like, how did you feel? How did you, deal with all of this?
Growing up, it was kind of hard because I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't really understand why, my parents never explained to me. They would just drop me off and then go to work. So I never would see them. And so it was kind of like they were there, but they weren't there. I was pretty much raised by my grandparents. And then, as I got older, I would join a lot of extracurricular activities at school, and they would never come to my games, but I would see all these other parents coming to their children's game. And I was like, how come my parents never came? But I understand now because like they did that because they were trying to make sure that I had everything I needed. But I didn't think of it that way. I was just like, they didn't even come to one cheerleading game, you know? So it was kind of like sad or whatever. Cause like senior night, I begged them to come. So they came.
They showed up?
They showed up, but
okay, I mean, let's go. Come on, clap it up for the parents right there. They came through. They came through senior night.
Yeah, they came through. I came through when they needed to, I guess.
True. And that just goes to show like the what was really the goal, you know, for your family members, your parents. They didn't come here and say, look, we're just gonna kick back our feet. They wanted to really make sure that they did the best job possible in regards to providing for you and future family members to coming over here as well too. Now, I'm assuming somewhere along the line, your parents' journey to America has influenced you in your journey. How does that work with you in your journey?
I think some of the things that I take from them is their drive and their motivation to just live the American dream. Of course, my parents and I, we both have different ideas of what the American dream means, because when they came here, they didn't know any English. They didn't have any education. And so they kind of just were thrown into the US trying to make it work. So they did the best that they could. And I really commend them because like they didn't speak any English, but they still had to pass a US citizenship, you know, to get their to be a U.S. member. And if I were to do it, I don't think I could, because there's some things that, you know, you have to study. So I really admire them for that. And I think one of those things, like being a hard worker and just working hard for what you want, they've instilled in me, because for me, I don't settle. I feel like I know, like as I get older, I know my worth. And so I want to work at an organization, or I want to do something that makes me happy, so that I'm not settling for less.
Mm-hmm. Now, in this whole time of your childhood growing up, you see your parents and the grind that they're putting in, right? And you talked about a little bit of your culture, but what does your culture mean to you?
My culture means a lot to me. I wouldn't say it's everything, but it's a big part of my life, because I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. So it was hard growing up. Sorry, I'm kind of emotional, but I had to deal with like a lot of identity issues, because like I would go to school and my parents would pack me like not American food, and I would just get teased. Just stuff like that. And I don't know. And then like the boys were like, oh, you're cute for an Asian, but they wouldn't like me. And so it kind of like didn't make me feel pretty, I guess. So yeah. I think that answered your question. Sorry.
No, it's okay. And again, I commend you for just opening up and letting the listeners know a little bit more about your journey and how you that early childhood and what you had to go through. How did you get past those things? I know that as a young child, you know, growing up, when you have, you know, it's in a sense of bullying right there, right?
Yeah. How
did you manage to turn that around?
So it wasn't until I took a, you know, like they have study abroad instead of going to another country. I went to study within the US. I went to St. Louis. And when I went to St. Louis for college for a year, I think that's when I started to find my identity and starting to be proud of who I was. And because I was surrounded by people who accepted me for me and not to fit in the crowd. So there I was able to find who I was. And from there, I just it was so important to me to make sure that the Asian community is represented correctly. And so I think that's what called me to what I'm doing. So everything that I do, everything that I am a part of is about Asian representation, or just making it known that, you know, we have a voice. Because, you know, a lot of the people who migrate here to the US, they are in fear and they're voiceless. So I don't know why I feel called to just be a voice for my people, I guess. Yeah.
And that's obviously has led you from your time being in Oregon, those earlier situations as a child growing up has influenced you in your career choice, in your drive to be a role model, like you were saying, for the Asian community. And I know that's
Yes.
I commend you for that, because sometimes it's hard to do things after witnessing certain things in your own life, right? It's like, you know what, I don't want this to happen again to anybody, whether they're
Yeah.
especially my Asian community. So I commend you for just doing that within your career path, and and I know that those stories are very hard ones, but keep in mind that those stories made you the individual that you are today. And I know your parents are definitely very proud of you for turning that around and being the person that you are today.
Yeah, I hope they are.
Oh,
I think
I
I'll
know.
always to go. Yeah.
They holding it down for you. Yes. Now,
Yeah.
talk to me about when did you know you wanted to be an actress? Because I know that in the beginning when I gave that introduction of you, I was like, wait, hold up, we got two different things over here, and they're it seem like two extremes. So when did you know you wanted to be an actress, and how did it impact your path of being in a corporate environment?
Well, honestly, I feel like when I was young, I think that was like my outlet. Like whenever there was a camera, I was always in front of it performing, either dancing, singing, or anything. So I knew that I always had that in me as a little child. But the thing is, I always wanted to make my parents proud of me, or they always say, don't be an embarrassment to our culture or to our family. So I knew that I had to get a real job, as they would say. So I honestly only stuck to my corporate job for my family to make them happy. But I try to make it so that it's something that I actually enjoy, and that I'm good at. But the real reason why I'm still in corporate is for my family. But I really always had a passion for the arts since I was 5 years old. Yeah. So I've always been in plays, or I was in the choir ever since elementary school. So.
So I'm gonna have to really, I'm off the books. I'm gonna have to ask this one right now. So what play did you like the most being
What play?
in? This is the trick question right here.
I don't remember from elementary school, but I will say there's this picture of me. I think it was something about the Constitution, and there was me holding up a sign that said Georgia, and I was like, wow. Isn't it ironic that I'm holding up a sign of Georgia and I now live there?
Come on. I knew to tap in. I knew I had to tap in. Someone told me to tap in, and I felt it. I felt it inside of me to tap in. And when I tapped in, we tapped in at the same time. And you're currently in Atlanta. You live in Atlanta. Look at that. Come on. And how old were you?
I think I was in second or third grade.
Jeez. Yeah. Look at that. Well, it was predestined. It was predestined. So shout out to you, and shout out to ATL. I know you're a wonderful addition out there. Now, what advice do you have for young Asian Americans aspiring to pursue that non-traditional career path, like acting, modeling, and obviously in certain situations, it does go against the family wishes. No, you need to be doing this. So I could only imagine how that conversation went with your family members. But what would you recommend for someone looking to start that now?
I would recommend them to just search within them and see what they're drawn to, and just let go of the limitations and the fear that we were instilled in us from our parents. Although they meant well, they were just trying to protect us. But for us to just change our mindset, to unlearn those things that are limiting us, because we are the next generation that can basically set a new foundation and a new way of life for our children and our children's children, as well as teaching our parents and our grandparents, there is a better way to be successful, or not a better way, but there's other ways. There's not just, A and B, there's A, B, C, and D, you know what I mean? So just let go of the limitations, follow your heart. And if it's put in you, then there's a reason why, you have that passion, or you have that vision, or that desire, or that dream. It's for you to just walk it out and pursue it.
It's hard sometimes, doing that, just jumping into that, it's that fear that, individuals face. They're like, you know what? I feel it inside of me that I need to go forward, but I don't know if I should. And, depending on the individual, if you have no one in front of you who was an actress or a model before you, someone that can mentor you or coach you, it makes it a little bit harder. You could pick up a book, you could look up on YouTube, but it's a lot different when you're actually coached and mentored by somebody. When you were starting off into the actress role, was there someone that kind of inspired you, influenced you, and helped you in that journey?
Not really. It was more of like, I felt like there was a need. So like, I would watch TV and there wasn't very much representation on TV. And I think that's some of the reasons why I had, problems or issues with my identity, or just wanting to be like the rest of the world. So I feel like if there was more representation, people wouldn't have to go through the things that I went through, and not, be happy that in this, within who I am in the skin that I'm in. So it was just like, I just saw a need. And so that's what drove me to, I guess, be in the arts, because I wanted more representation of the Asian culture and community, which it's kind of progressing. It's it's picking up more than it was when I was growing up. So that makes me really happy. And I just want to be part of that change. So that's my thing.
It goes back to that day of that Constitution right there, when you were like, you at the age of second grade, third grade, you're extended up for something, right? And you saw something years down the line. Again, this is me leaning into what you're saying, right? At a young age, in that one picture, it kind of like was a carbon copy of your life or what's happening now. Like where you saw something on TV and you're like, or in movies, and you're like, you know what? I need to make change right now. There needs to be more representation out there, Asian representation, and also in a good way as well too, because there could be bad representation of a culture, right? And a lot of it. And so I'm glad that you're pushing for that, and also helping to inspire other Asians to pursue that as well too. Now, in this journey of being an actress, it's like any other role. There's a lot of challenges that people could face, right, on that journey. Could you talk about any particular challenge that you face as an Asian actress? And trying to like break through in like the entertainment industry.
Yeah, I would say just the stereotype roles that they would cast Asians in, like ninja or kung fu. Like now, I guess, and then salons. With the accent, And I did a play. I did a play like 5 years ago, and they had me as a Korean wife, and she wanted me to do the accent, and I didn't really want to do it, but I guess it emphasized or made the story better by me having an accent, and just like stuff like that is like, I feel like a stereotypical of a role. And so those are some challenges that I face, that roles that I don't want to do, but I do it because you have, you got to work your way to go where you want to be. And also roles where challenges that I face, I don't really speak a lot of other foreign languages. And so they just assume that I do. And so maybe I'll get cast for something and then I don't speak the language. And so it's kind of, they have to recast, stuff like that. So it's hard with the stereotypes of Asian roles that I want to kind of overcome. It's slowly but surely. Again, it's a work in progress. But so there's that. Yeah.
Well, you're definitely on the incline of it all, right?
Yeah.
Your journey, you're taking a lot of risks too, right? During this whole time. And, especially when you are in the arts, the performing arts, or, performing that industry where you're being an actress, there's a lot of risks. And you always have to kind of step out of your comfort zone. You have to have thick skin, right? Could you elaborate on like a pivotal moment where you like had to make like a tough decision and ultimately like it hopefully led to like your success?
In acting or in my corporate world?
I mean, I would listen, since we're talking about acting, like in your acting.
Okay. I guess we'll go back to the play. So we did the play and I had the accent, and then the director was like, we might be going on tour. And so she wanted to rewrite the script. And I had asked her, I was like, do I need to do this accent? Because I'm not doing it right. And I asked her if I could just do it in English and it will still, make an impact on my character. And I kind of stood up for myself, and then I asked, like, my friends if it would still be impactful. And I told her that, the story would still be relevant and impactful if I still spoke regularly and not without an accent. So just standing up for myself and kind of not falling back and being like a yes person and just a people pleasing person, but just to stand up for what's right. So that was the first time that I ever kind of just said something, because normally actors, they don't stand up for themselves because they're thirsty for an opportunity. So they just accept whatever.
True.
And
just saying yes.
Yeah. And so like that's a good scenario. And one thing about me is, like, I am very cognizant of what roles I say yes to, even in the beginning stages, because I do not want anything out there in the TV or streaming that is going to kind of jeopardize my character, because I one day want to have a family and kids. And I don't want my kids to see me with no clothes on for a role that pays what, it's not worth my soul. So stuff like that. I'm very cognizant of the roles that I take. So those are some challenges where it's not good for an upcoming actress, but I just stand on what's my morals and values are more important to me. So
kudos to you on that. Now I'm going to flip that question. Let's go into corporate. The same exact question now. Like that pivotal moment that led to like your success.
So what's crazy is I work for a really, really great company, and I know I was always underpaid. And so they kept giving me all this work. And so I was like, if you're going to keep giving me these titles, I need it to match the what the market's paying. So I kind of told my boss at the time, when they were trying to give me more on my plate, I was like, I don't want to accept the role until I am compensated fairly. So for me, standing up and being under great leadership, she vouched for me, and I actually got I think a 25% increase in my salary because I said something. Before, I just accepted the role and like, oh my God, I'm a, junior program manager, and, it looks good on LinkedIn and everything. But if you can't, pay your bills or whatever, the title doesn't matter, and
you're right about that.
What I've learned about that is you have to serve your way to the top. Like, being serving the role that you want to become, and going to work and acting as if you already are that person or you already have that promotion, it really speeds up the process, because it's all like, I don't know, I don't mean to get all spiritual, but it's all in the spirit. So like, you have to, in your mind, be there first, then your physical will follow, I feel like.
Great way of dropping. That is a quick gem right there, listeners. Just making sure you're listening to that. Put the mind there first, and the body will follow second.
Yes.
Now, talk to us about your corporate role and what you do, because we're diving a little bit into the corporate. I want to kind of give the listeners an opportunity to understand what you do.
So I am a program manager for a consulting company called Accenture, and so what I specialize in is, I guess, software technology, because I work with, like, my vendor is like people like Microsoft, Google, all those companies, those tech companies. So they would assign me to them as a vendor, and I would help them with their program. So I would have a team where I would have to help manage the program, or they would put me on like a project management where I would manage multiple projects at one time. So just depending where they need me, but right now I'm in a project management role.
Mm-hmm. And
so our goal.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I said go ahead. Go ahead. You good?
Oh, so our mission is basically, if I'm assigned to a vendor, our goal is to help them with their goals and their KPIs, whether it's to increase more users or get more revenue, whatever it is the case. Our job as a consultant is to make sure that we're providing them with tools and resources to meet their goal, and just help them become successful in meeting their yearly goals.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And this is, I'm assuming, very time consuming.
Yes.
There it was, listeners. There it is. very time consuming. Yeah, go on, talk about that.
So it's a great job. Like you have to be organized to be a project manager or program manager. There was at one point where I was on a project for engineering, and I had nothing. I didn't know anything about engineering. I didn't know the lingo, nothing. And they threw me on that project, and I had to learn by myself. I was in meetings Monday through Friday, like back to back, and I had no time to like do other work. So I was constantly working like 50 to 60 hours, maybe 70 on a week, just trying to like catch up. And because you're in meetings all day, you can't do work if you're in meetings, and you actually have to listen. You can't like, doze off or not listen because you're a vital person in that project, especially when it comes to engineering, because these engineers, they have really big vocabulary, I've learned.
That's when I'm like, all right, this is my time to cue out right now when you guys start talking like that, the engineers.
Yeah, I'm like, what does that mean? But I always have to like Google a lot of things.
That's when you like pull off to the side and like Google, Siri, help me out real quick. Yo, tell me what this means.
Yeah.
That's just wild. Now, how have you like integrated like your unique experience of like skills in the entertainment industry into like your corporate role? And like vice versa as well.
For me to incorporating my artistic skills to my corporate job would be just my ability to just maybe talk to people and being able to have like a bubbly personality. So it's very, I guess, it's a great way to build relationships and build rapport with the clients. And so a lot of the clients like enjoy working with me, and they always, tell my bosses how much they enjoy working with me and stuff like that. So it has to do a lot with personality. You have to be charismatic. I think that's the word.
True. And yeah, I got you. Yeah.
For vice versa, it's the organizational skills of being an entrepreneur, because as an entrepreneur, you don't really have a schedule. You do what you're supposed to. But for me, I work good in structure. So having a structure and just building out a day-to-day plan helps me stay organized in things that I need to do for my I guess my passion. I guess that's for acting.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes down to going back over to what you talked about representation a little bit earlier, I know that's a crucial, area, when it comes to you and your mission. Like can you share like a moment where maybe a memorable experience where you encountered impact with your voice, the Asian community?
So, it's funny because like if you go to Silicon Valley, there's a lot of Asians in the tech industry. But here in Atlanta, where I worked at the time, there was barely any Asian women or men that worked where I worked. And so just to see me move up the corporate ladder so quick, and being a minority as a woman and as an Asian, female, it was kind of awesome to experience. At the same time, it was eye-opening because my friend and I, she's my colleague, we went to a workshop for our vendor at the time at I think it's Truist Park at the baseball game. And we looked around and there was like no females. It was just me and her. We were the only females in that room, and they were all men. And then we were the only minorities. So we were both female, only two female, and she was the only Black woman. I was the only Asian woman in that room representing for our company. So that was like a huge thing, an eye opening for us. Like, I don't know, that for me, I feel like we represented a lot of, I guess, or checked off a lot of boxes as far as representation for both women and minorities in the tech field at the time, because there wasn't a lot of females in that industry. Now there is, but before there was not.
And it's because individuals like you have spoken up. And more importantly, you guys showed up. When you show up, then people start to take notice to that. They're like, you know what? We might need to start hiring more individuals like this. whether it be
Mhm.
from the different cultures or just in regards to hard working, instead of just looking at it one way and saying, let's just hire the same type of individual every single time. Diversity is a very hard word to sometimes digest inside of the corporate environment, but
Yeah.
a lot of the guests that have been on the show really have been advocates for that word, and in their stories they express about how diversity has helped them out in their corporate jobs or their industry they're in currently, but also the environment that they're in as well. Now, as a leader, you got a big role right here, right? And like, how have you infused like your compassion into like your leadership role, and has that contributed to like some of your success?
Yes, for sure. When I started with the company, I started from the bottom and I worked my way to the top. And so I have compassion, a lot of compassion for the people that I manage, because I was at one point in their seat. So I would know the struggles that they would go through. I know, what challenges they face. So I had a lot of compassion for them. So when it comes to like bonuses and stuff like that I was in charge of, I would be a little bit more lenient on my team, because I would just look at their work ethic and kind of incorporate that in. Because at the end of the day, at that time, I had authority of, just, yeah, the numbers need to show. But at the end of the day, I incorporated other things that I could to make sure that they're paid fairly, because I knew what it was like, being entry level and just grinding and not being recognized for it. So I try to give them grace, and I try to help them succeed. So I always ask them what their goals are, and I try to make sure that I can help them move up along the way. Just kind of giving back, because someone did that for me, so I want to do that for them.
I like that, paying it forward, and also
Yeah.
giving back is a key thing in a lot of the similarities from yourself and other guests that have been on the show. Now, with your role at Accenture, right? Could you just talk about like a project or something that you worked on at the company
Mhm.
where it aligns with like your core values of community and humility?
Yes. So Accenture has this thing where I think it's a week, where it's Accenture Week, where we volunteer and we give back to the community. And that's really important to me, because um, I am where I am today is from me helping others and serving people. So I feel like it aligns with my core values and what I stand for, just to give back and to serve and to be able to be a part of things like that, as well as um, another thing that I was a part of was Toastmasters, which helped me kind of perfect my speaking ability. Just to perfect it and be a better speaker. So those are some of the things that I am involved in at my organization that has helped me and are aligned to my core values.
You seem like you got your hands in a lot over there at that company.
Yeah, I tried to do. Like I said, I did what I had to do. I served in a lot of things, because I was really determined to move up in the company, and I am here now.
You showing up. Hey, look, you showing up. You showing up with 5 different jobs and still slaying. So kudos to you. Now, how are you
Thank you.
balancing like the dual roles? Like, let's dive into that. This is what I was talking about a little earlier. The
Oh
dual
yeah.
roles, that the actress and a program manager. Like, how are you? And what are your strategies? Like, how do you not lose yourself in the mix of this?
Well, see, acting is not like work to me. I really enjoy it. And so at first, when I first started back in corporate America, I was like, I'm only going to be at this job for X amount of years, and then I'm just going to leave and do acting full time. But I was able to manage it, and now I'm comfortable with the two jobs. So it's a little challenging, but you really have to like wake up early in the morning, and you got to know what your goals are. And also you just have to be really good at time management. If I have an audition or something that's due in the middle of the day, I make sure to like take my lunch during that time and then go to the audition. But if I'm unable to, there's thank God I have PTO or something, or I'll just let my boss know. But now that I've been with the company for so many years, they're pretty lenient about me leaving to go to the audition or taking time off. But before it was kind of hard, but you just got to work. You just got to have a good relationship with your job. And I'm grateful and blessed that my job and my bosses are very understanding of what I do outside of work.
And while you were at work, could you share on your journey at work, could you share with us like a memorable career achievement or milestone that you probably had?
Yeah. I think it was my big promotion and just being recognized. There was this, I guess, women's conference that they had, and they picked like the top 4 people to go to this conference with the other leaders. And I was one of the women that was chosen to go to this conference. And these people that went, these speakers were like big speakers. I don't remember who they were, but they were well known. A lot of them had TED Talks and stuff, but it was just, I felt like I was seen for once, being able to go to this thing and being handpicked by the leadership team to go to this conference. So that was kind of like a big accomplishment for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming there's a lot more accomplishments on that note because you're doing a lot. So I could assume there's a lot of great achievements, milestones along the way. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now, someone who moved to Oregon, right? Mm-hmm. Oregon to Atlanta, right? Your parents migrated here. They get to Oregon out of all the places they could go to, right? Then you find your way to get to Atlanta. Like that is booming when it comes to the entertainment industry, and it's a very live and has its own pulse. Like, how did that change in location impact your personal and professional growth?
It made me grow up really fast. I always say that Atlanta raised me to become an adult. It was also a culture shock at one point because it's like the total opposite of what Oregon is. So when I came there, I had to learn everything quick. And so.
Do you feel like Atlanta, you would have never gotten that experience by being in Oregon?
Oh, no. I think if I lived in Oregon, I think my opportunities would have been limited. I don't think I ever would have gone into acting. I think I would have just settled for the mediocre. I mean, no offense, but the mediocre life. I would have been really unhappy and not fulfilled because I was just people pleasing my parents to make them happy. But I think a part of me would have always wanted to just pursue that passion that I always had as a little girl, Mm-hmm. So I know that Atlanta provided a lot of opportunities for me and made me grow and evolve and become who I am. I feel like I'm better spiritually, mentally, and physically at times, sometimes I'm a little lazy, but yeah, if I were home, you wouldn't see this person today. I would be still shy, and not speak and just kind of acquiescing, just trying to blend in with everyone. But now I don't mind standing out because I know that I'm created different for a reason. So
come on. You better let it be known out there. Back then, those guys that made fun and didn't really acknowledge you for the beautiful person that you are, sad. You know what?
Yeah.
And now look where you are. Sorry, fellas. Sorry. Now looking ahead, what's up with the future goals? Aspiring to be both in the acting career, but also within your leadership roles in corporate world. What are you looking to do?
In the future, my goal is it's a really lofty dream, but I would like to start a nonprofit organization to help other minorities along the way, whether it be scholarships to go to college or resources or classes to make sure that they're equipped for the world, or just, to help them get to their goals. I want to just make a difference and just make sure that the Asian community is represented in a positive way, especially with all the Asian hate crimes that are coming, that mm-hmm. have been happening. It really breaks my heart to see that these people who they don't bother anybody. They mind their own business, but they're just being bullied and killed for no reason because of what society has kind of labeled them as when the COVID pandemic happened. So things like that, I just want to make a change to make sure that they feel safe. And to main thing is just that the nonprofit. I really want to open the Asian community's mind into being more open-minded and letting them know there's other ways to be successful than just being the stereotypical doctor or lawyer.
Okay. And what advice would you give to aspiring immigrants, entrepreneurs, particularly looking to break through in like a competitive world of acting, but still in the corporate world like yourself?
First thing is, do not quit your job. When you say
first one right there. That was let me just make sure we put that up there at the top. First one, captions: don't quit your day job.
Just because you have a dream or a vision, don't quit your job. Have a backup plan. Plan it out and let go of what other people think about you. Let go of what other people say, and just go for it. Just keep walking it out. Just take little steps every day, but don't give up. Just keep going, because sooner or later you're going to be living in the vision that you've always had in your mind and your heart. And if it's in your heart, then it's your job to manifest it out to the world.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, Ms. Kat, I thank you so much for your time and your patience and just dropping these gems in our show today. Again, I know the stories that you have spoken about today in our show about your parents and coming over here and the challenges you had as a young adult. It seems that right now, obviously life is never easy, but it seems that you have a lot of great things going for yourself, and I'm looking forward to seeing you really opening that nonprofit organization, but also looking to having a nice popcorn and drink and watching on the big screen.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yes,
thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for your time. And I want to let the listeners know, if you want to hear more inspirational stories like Kat, please check us out on ZakaConnect.com. Follow our social at Zaka Connect and follow our feed, Zaka, wherever you listen to your podcasts.